Grandpa and I cut the rest of that load over there. I'm not gonna stack it up just yet because once I get this stuff split, I'll move the splitter and everything over here to get closer. I've got some bigger rounds loaded up on the conveyor. I'm gonna split a bunch of wood for the roadside racks. I work on getting those filled up because they're pretty well empty. So hang tight and let's do some split. So you guys noticed split's a lot slower with it just one person. Definitely not having Kevin here slows things down. What we're splitting for the roadside racks is all going to be ash. That way they get the driest possible wood they can for this time of year. The ash will dry quick. We split it smaller. It takes about 20 to 24 of the log lift arm loads that are rounded to fill the dump trailer behind me. So, you know, when we're splitting and we're going along, each one of those arm loads that are full on the log lift here, it's between $30 and $40 worth of wood in the roadside racks. Now, our roadside rack price has been the same for 6 years. We haven't changed them since we put them out, and I think we have to change them a little bit. The convenience, the extra work, the stacking that we do to move it there, it's going to have to be worth a little bit more. I'm not looking to get a lot more out of it, but I think we are going to go up on price a little bit. But when we build the new racks, we'll just kind of condense everything down. I'm looking to do no more than a 10% reduction in any one of the sized bins out there. But we have to make sure that our expenses are staying in line. The roadside racks are a convenience thing, and right now they're not really holding up where I'd like to see them profit-wise. So we're gonna fill up probably another 6 or 7 arm loads on the splitter, and then put that out in the racks. And when I say we're, I'm saying we're because you and I watching here, we're doing this together right now. The log hauler called today. He's got another load of this heavy ash mix that we got coming tomorrow. So I'm gonna have to move everything out of the way and make sure it's out of the way for the morning, because tomorrow I am going with my wife and my son, and we're gonna go see my brother and my sister and my parents, and we're gonna go spend a day at the beach. We are going to go to Peaks Kenny State Park on Sebec Lake. So that ought to be a good time, spending some time with family. Not something we get to do a lot of. As everybody kind of grows up and gets older and gets busier, we do less of that, but I do enjoy it. Concentrating here is a big one. But yeah, it'll be something that we can do together as a group, and all the cousins will get to play, and it'll wear them out, and everybody ought to sleep a little better tomorrow night, hopefully. So I don't think I'm going to do a whole lot more recording of me splitting, but I'll probably do a little bit here and there. We'll have some clips. That's maple. You can't tell, but that end right there is a little rotten. I could tell just by picking it up it was heavier. I wasn't really paying attention. But the ash is considerably lighter, and the stuff that's been cut for a couple of days, the ends are already checked up on it. This stuff was cut this morning, and some of the ends are already checking. I'm gonna grab the camera and I'll swing you around over here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about when I say that the wood's checking. So hang on just a minute. So right here on the end of this ash round, you can see that cross hatch, or that cross mark, crosshair, whatever you want to call it. That's the wood naturally starting to dry. And I'm going to move you down just a little bit more. You see this one, I don't know if you can see all the small lines around, but the small lines around, this one's actually starting to, and that made it worse. There we go. All the small lines there, that's showing that that wood's starting to dry. This has only been cut for about 2 weeks, but ash dries really quick, and with the warm temperatures we've had, this stuff will dry out really fast in the racks. So when I say the ends are checking up, that's what I'm looking at, is, you know, seeing that grain start to split apart because the wood's beginning to dry. So when I say arm load on the splitter, this is what I'm talking about. There are probably 20 plus rounds on there, and some of those are pretty big. I'm gonna go over and show you my hand comparison. I got a big hand. That right there is probably close to an 18-inch round, if not a little bigger. Most of these are 10 inches plus. So these are big pieces of wood. That's why it doesn't take many of these arms to fill the trailer. This is the third one that we've put in, and I bet after this we're gonna be somewhere around a quarter to a third of a cord in the trailer. If you'll notice over here, that piece right there is splintered. When it got dropped, it either crushed it or they ran it over the skidder. I'm gonna bring you in a little closer. You can see all of the wood separated in pieces. So I think when we split that piece, it's probably gonna turn into kindling, and that's okay. I'm gonna bring the power wheelbarrow over here and set it there so that we've got somewhere to put the kindling. But that's what happens sometimes, and why some of these things go to firewood instead of saw logs, just the rough handling. You can see this one here got pulled on and it split the tree. That would have been a nice saw log, would have been a really nice saw log for somebody. But yeah, so stuff happens, but this is what we're talking about when we say arm load on the splitter. So there's a cord and a quarter or so worth of wood for the firewood racks. I had a special helper show up. I didn't get to get him on camera because he doesn't like me stopping just because things are special, but Gramp showed up, saw that I didn't have Kevin to help. So he hopped right in and he fed the all wood. Well, we split that wood. We put a little hole down here in the end of what we did this morning. I mean, it was all full out to the end here. So we took this chunk out right there and put it on the trailer. So now I got to get it stacked in the racks, but first I'm going to go to water. It's like 86 degrees out. It's a little warm. Guys, look at that. I turned my moneymaker into a wood stacker. It's awesome. I told her we needed to fill the racks before we went to town, at least a few of them, and she offered to volunteer and help. Pay no attention to the sandals. It's definitely appropriate footwear for the job.
Yes. At least I'm wearing something on my feet.
This is true. Not much. It is something, though.
Oh.
Now she's knocking the building over. Well, guys, we didn't get them all filled, but we got a good majority of them filled. Had to stop and take a four-wheeler break so we could let Richard ride his four-wheeler. All we have is 2 empty 50s. Everything else is filled up. I'll bring you down, show you what we got left of our wood down here. I'm thinking we've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 cords left out of the log truck load that Grandpa and I started cutting up a couple days ago. So should be close to a cord of rounds on the ground over here, and should be very close to 2 cords in this pile. Now the pile down at the end is from our last 12 cord load. That's probably just a third of a cord. So 3 1/3, 3 1/2, somewhere in there, but not too bad. So as always, guys, my typical send off: if you like this stuff, give a like, thumbs up, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, tell everybody you know about how we just go to work. I mean, no smoke, no mirrors, not hiding anything. You guys pick up the flaws. Somebody commented earlier in one of the other videos, doesn't seem like the pump on the Allwood's kicking down into the second stage. It's not. It stopped. So we're gonna have to tear into that, see if there's an adjustment. Single stage is good for most of it, but when you get the big knotty pieces, it doesn't like it. So we got to tear into that and look at it. Somebody else said Gramps' saw didn't sound good. Gramps said the same thing. He said either the idle's set too low or it's set too high. Can't get it adjusted just right. He's becoming increasingly fed up with the Husqvarna saws. So I think, don't quote me on it, but I think through pretty good source, maybe me, there's gonna be some different saws coming. We're gonna try something different maybe. If anybody sees this and thinks that they got a better idea for us, I'm all ears, but I think we've pretty much got our mind made up on where we're gonna go and what we're gonna do. So we'll see on the next one, guys, and we'll crank out some more wood and we'll get some stuff done. But appreciate you all stopping by.